If you value your life, your health, or your limbs, stay far away from these islands. Here are the 13 deadliest on Earth. At number 13, Runit Island, a nuclear disaster sealed in concrete. Runit Island holds a massive dome filled with radioactive waste from US nuclear tests. Soil, debris, and fallout scraped together and buried. The dome was never engineered to last forever. It was meant to contain a problem, not solve it. Decades later, cracks have formed, and rising sea levels threaten to flood the structure from below. Scientists warn that if seawater breaches the dome, radioactive material could spread into the Pacific. Runit isn't dangerous because it's active, but because it's aging. At number 12, Heard Island, Australia. This is one of the most remote places on Earth, and it actively tries to keep humans out. Heard Island is dominated by an active volcano, massive glaciers, and some of the worst weather in the Southern Ocean. There are no permanent residents, no ports, and no reliable landing sites. Even getting close is dangerous. Ships have been forced to turn back after weeks at sea without ever touching land. Storms here arrive without warning. Waves smash straight into ice-covered cliffs. And if something goes wrong, help isn't coming. The nearest continent is thousands of miles away. On Heard Island, survival isn't about endurance. It's about whether you can escape at all. At number 11, Bouvet Island, often called the most isolated island on the planet. Bouvet is surrounded by freezing seas, towering cliffs, and near-constant ice. There are no harbors, no beaches, and almost nowhere safe to land. Even helicopters struggle in the violent winds and whiteout conditions. Most expeditions never make it ashore. In the 1960s, explorers found something disturbing: an abandoned lifeboat sitting on the island. No ship nearby, no bodies, no explanation. To this day, no one knows how it got there, or what happened to the people who used it. Bouvet doesn't just resist visitors, it erases them. At number 10, the Farallon Islands, off the coast of California. Close to land, but deceptively deadly, these rocky islands sit in one of the most aggressive great white shark feeding zones on Earth. Cold currents and seal colonies make it a perfect hunting ground. Below the surface, shipwrecks litter the seabed, evidence of centuries of maritime disasters. Sailors once called this area a death trap, and even today, human access is heavily restricted. Not because it's far away, but because nature here is fully in control. In the Farallons, you're not the observer, you're the prey. At number 9, Miyake-jima, Japan, an island where the air itself can kill you. Miyake-jima sits on an active volcanic system that never truly sleeps. In 2000, a major eruption released enormous amounts of toxic sulfur gas, forcing the entire population to evacuate. The island was completely abandoned for years. When residents were finally allowed to return, life came with a condition: everyone carries a gas mask at all times. Warning sirens still sound when gas levels spike. On Miyake-jima, danger isn't underground or offshore. It's invisible, and it's in every breath. At number 8, Gruinard Island, Scotland, one of the most contaminated islands in history. During World War II, Britain used this island to test anthrax as a biological weapon. The spores spread into the soil and refused to die. Gruinard became so dangerous that it was quarantined for nearly 50 years. It took massive chemical treatment to neutralize the contamination, and even after it was declared safe, public trust never returned. No warning signs are needed anymore, but the reputation remains. Some places don't forget what happened to them. At number 7, Enewetak Atoll, an entire island chain reshaped by nuclear fire. Dozens of nuclear detonations vaporized islands here, leaving massive craters where land once existed. Entire communities were displaced, exposed to fallout, and relocated with little warning. Cleanup efforts removed tons of contaminated material, but radiation still lingers in parts of the soil and groundwater. Some islands remain unsafe to live on. From the air, Enewetak looks calm, but beneath the sand is a fractured history. At number 6, Ramree Island, the site of what may be the deadliest animal attack in history. In 1945, Japanese soldiers fleeing British forces ran into Ramree's mangrove swamps thinking they could hide there. Instead, they entered prime saltwater crocodile territory. At night, the water came alive. Survivors later described screams, splashing, and sudden silence as crocodiles attacked from below. Hundreds were believed to have died, not in battle, but in the dark. Whether every detail is exact or not, Ramree's swamps deliver the same warning: humans don't belong here. At number 5, Nazino Island, Russia. a place so brutal it earned the name Cannibal Island. In 1933, Soviet authorities deported over 6,000 people here as part of a forced resettlement program. They were dumped on the island with almost no food, no shelter, and no tools. Just sacks of flour they couldn't even cook. Within days, starvation set in. Disease spread. Guards opened fire on anyone who tried to escape. As people weakened, order collapsed. Bodies began appearing without limbs. Survivors later testified that cannibalism became common, not out of cruelty but desperation. By the time the camp was abandoned weeks later, thousands were dead. Nazino Island isn't dangerous because of nature or isolation. It's dangerous because it shows what happens when survival is deliberately taken away. At number 4, Komodo Island, home to the largest living lizard on Earth. Komodo dragons evolved into near-perfect ambush predators. Their bite delivers venom that prevents blood clotting, causing victims to weaken and bleed internally. Even a small wound can be fatal if untreated. They don't need to chase. You bleed out while they follow. Attacks on humans have happened, often when people underestimate how fast they can move. Rangers don't carry weapons to fight the dragons. They carry sticks, used to redirect open jaws and distract them long enough to escape. On Komodo Island, humans aren't visitors, they're tolerated intruders. At number 3, Bikini Atoll, one of the most beautiful and contaminated places on Earth. Also the inspiration for SpongeBob's Bikini Bottom. Between 1946 and 1958, the US conducted 23 nuclear tests here. The largest explosion erased islands entirely and sent radioactive fallout across the region. Crops failed. Fish became unsafe to eat. Even today, residents can't return permanently. Radiation levels remain high enough to contaminate food grown in the soil. Bikini is proof that destruction doesn't always look destroyed. At number 2, Snake Island, an island humans are legally forbidden to visit. This tiny island has one of the highest snake densities on Earth, up to 1 venomous snake per square meter. The golden lancehead evolved in isolation, developing venom strong enough to kill prey almost instantly. Bites can cause massive tissue damage and organ failure, so dangerous that Brazil's Navy restricts access entirely. No tourism, no research without permission. On Snake Island, evolution finished the job and humans stepped back. Finally, at number 1, North Sentinel Island, the most dangerous island on Earth, not because of nature, but because of people. The Sentinelese have lived here in isolation for tens of thousands of years. They violently reject outsiders, attacking boats and aircraft that come too close. Attempts at contact ended in death. The Indian government now enforces a strict exclusion zone, not to protect visitors, but to protect the tribe from disease and interference. North Sentinel Island is dangerous because it forces a rare conclusion. Some places are not meant to be explored.